Morning, folks. Welcome back to the Hoard. Every once in a while, by the way, battery's not quite charged. About 9:30, 6:24 Tuesday, 21.2 degrees centigrade. It really is 9:35 at 72 according to this one. That one says 72. And do we have the trifecta? This one says like 65 or 66. No trifecta. Anyhow, every once in a while, I do an inventory of what I own, and actually, it's kind of a refresher to what's floating around in the various sheds and what condition it's in and so forth. And I want to take an extra few moments at it. I'm going to kind of do it shed by shed, and I'm going to watch this video and actually write some of the stuff down so I can kind of get myself a little bit more organized in my head and, you know, in my life perhaps. So let's call this shed 1. That's my wife's shed, her garden shed. So no use going in there. And just what do I have? This is a runner. I put this together a while ago. Yeah, she starts, runs, drives, moves. Not quite sure where her seat is right now. That one I bought up, not quite to Kinderhook, but up a ways. Starts, runs, moves, got the books for it. It was in beautiful condition when I got it in here. See, no cracks on the plastic. It's got the trunk. But it was doing skippy things with the transmission, like to skip. So that's the 125. This is a 185 or a 200. I'm not sure what size motor I have on it. I don't know, could you guys see that? So it says model 185, 1982. Yeah, anyway, that's a 125M. That's another, the one with the yellow gas tank is another one. I think that's a 185. Bought that was a set of twins. There were 2 of them. One of the few Hondas I ever sold was its mate, and I was sorry that I sold it because the person who bought it behaved like a jackass, and someplace where we were allowed to ride, I was no longer allowed to ride. None of us were, after he went over there and was a jackass. He went onto some property during late summer when it was very dry, and he was playing with bottle rockets and ended up setting a field on fire, which created quite the incident. Besides the not being allowed to ride there anymore, the local police really cracked down on us guys on 3-wheelers particularly. You know, they were looking all over the place, and even to take it a step further, I had to end up moving from that house because it was to the point if I rolled the 3-wheeler out of the garage onto the driveway, the local sheriff's department would be knocking on the front door asking if I was riding. And of course that leads me, who being somewhat of a jackass, I would roll something out without an engine on it, you know, and roll it out onto the driveway toward the road so they can definitely get a view of it. Somebody would call the cops, or the cops would go by the sheriff's department and they would be knocking on the door. You riding that? Sorry, officer, but there's no engine. It would be a little hard to ride that. You know, we can confiscate it if it doesn't have plates on it. Officer, it doesn't have an engine on it. If you need to confiscate it, go ahead, you know. And I just had to break their nuts. But once again, I had to move to a much more rural area just to get away from the trouble there. And in the back Here's another 185 or 200. It looks like it's complete, but it's not wearing a gas tank, so I'm not exactly sure what its story is. At one point, I know the yellow one will probably start up in a couple of pulls. This guy should start up fairly easily. That one I would have to probably go through the carburetor to get it to start. Yeah, generally speaking, if the gas is turned off, that's a good sign. If the gas is not turned off, that's not so good a sign. I almost like it better if they're not wearing a gas tank. To me, that indicates that I took proper care in putting them away, right? That means that the carb's probably already cleared. I had a gas tank on it to get it started and then put it away. Up here, this one on the edge, right up against the wall, appears to be a 200X, right? Big exhaust system. So 200X, what's its story? I'm not sure. This is probably a 200S next to it, not wearing a rear end. This is a 185, not wearing a rear end. Then there's that compressor with the Honda motor on it. A go-kart frame with somebody put a lot of time and effort into putting the axle on. I'm hanging on to this because with one of the golf carts, it would be cool to get the engine and tranny and all that out of it, fix the back so it's no longer has shock absorbers, and put a straight axle back there, perhaps a torque converter, and go on from there. Mice, Musty One, you could come and get the mice. You could see the mouse nest in the compressor there too, I think. Let me brace my arm and zoom in. Yeah, there you go. Mice. And that looks like all of it for, we'll call this shed number 1. So there we are. Hope you enjoyed the inventory as much as I did. There's a lot of sheds to go, so I'll be doing this in separate videos. Folks, thanks for watching, commenting, subscribing. We'll catch you all in the next episode of The Hoard. Till then, remember, keep your feet down, your head up, and live your life to the fullest. Bye now.